Hey everyone, I'm Alex Summer, and this is the Who Knew Sports Podcast. First, wanted to say, hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Hope you ate a lot of food. Hope you spent a lot of time with family, and I hope you all relaxed. We all need that time off, and I definitely need it as well. So, the other day, we were able to meet with Jared Ginsburg of the Edmonton Oilers. He is the director of ticket sales for the Oilers Entertainment Group. This also includes their AHL team. So he kind of goes into detail about, his department and, how it's structured and, how many people are in each department. And, he also goes into detail about, the Edmonton area, about, how their population and, just how well committed they are to the sport of hockey. And he kind of talks about, some of the challenges he has to face with selling tickets as well. And I think this is just a really interesting talk that we had. So I hope you guys listen, and I think you guys will enjoy. Hey, Jared, how's your day?
Good so far. Busy day, busy week, but so far so good.
That's great to hear. So I guess my first question, just getting right into it, what is your job exactly with the Oilers?
Yeah. So I'm director of ticket sales for Oilers Entertainment Group. I look after all of our ticket sales, being season seats, partial plans, group sales for both our Oilers and Oil Kings brands. I also look after all of our premium sales here at Rogers Place, being our suites and loge tables, and then assist with our business operations with our Bakersfield Condors American Hockey League affiliate as well.
Okay. So is that the highest you can get into tickets with your organization?
Yeah, with our organization, yes. We don't have a VP of ticket sales position. I report directly to our president right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Who is your guys' president again?
His name's Stu McDonald.
Okay. So what are some of the roles that you do with the AHL team, correct? Yeah.
Yeah. So I originally started with them just on the ticketing side and was overseeing our ticket sales department, traveling down there. It was once a month when we first started, and a nice respite from our minus 30-degree Edmonton winters to get down to California. So no complaints there.
Yep.
And peeled back a little bit as we restructured the department, and we've seen some really great successes coming out of there. Now it's more oversight of ticket sales, but also a little bit more into some of the business operations and things on the marketing and sponsorship sides too.
So you mentioned you reconstructed the your guys' thing. What are some of the things that you changed about it?
We revamped a couple of the roles. We moved some folks around. And really it was about how we set the team up for future success. So one of the main functions that we did is we split the sales teams into specific group sellers versus package sellers. And that really helped us zero in on some specific group areas that we were missing on previously. And then the other major function is we created a service department, which we didn't have previously to that. So we had a VP in that role, along with some other folks in ticket operations and customer service that now report in there, which has been really great for customer retention for them.
So I have a kind of an idea about how big the size of the St. Louis market is for hockey. How big is it? How massive is it? Is it in Edmonton?
Well, that's. I mean, this is the center of it. For if you're a hockey fan, and I mean, with the Edmonton Oilers, the previous dynasties that we've had, and when you look at the people that have been here, Mark Messier, Wayne Gretzky, those guys, they've left such a lasting legacy on the community here. So we really are the center of sports and entertainment in Edmonton, and we do have some other great teams in town. That football, basketball, baseball, but the Oilers are really the big show here. So again, puts a lot of pressure on us to make sure that we're delivering a high quality product every night, both on and off the ice. We're in the premier facility in town, and I'd argue in North America right now,
Right.
With Rogers Place. So we really have a great product, and we've got a very diehard fan base. It's not a huge market. We're only about 1 million people here, but they're very, very passionate and very supportive of the team.
Right. So during COVID, you guys hosted the bubble, right? The Western Conference one?
The Western Conference and the Stanley Cup Finals,
right?
Mm-hmm.
So what were some of your roles during that?
Yeah, I actually didn't have a ton to play in that, as we were, I wouldn't say on lockdown, but we were all working from home. So it was only venue staff that needed to be here that were part of it. So got to sit in and listen to some of the meetings and things that were happening surrounding it, but wasn't actually in the bubbles. They really tried to limit the amount of people and access from the outside into there.
And this is kind of because I know every team in the league kind of handled COVID differently. Would you say that the Oilers kind of handled it pretty well with their employees, kind of letting them kind of, I guess, paid time off, or I guess extended paid time off?
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple different programs for our staff, and it was I would say that it was a really difficult time, I think, for the organization, for the employees involved, and for myself. It was one of the hardest things that I've gone through as a leader, and trying to deal with that, is that especially running a sales team when there's nothing to sell, it becomes really difficult to have sales staff in place. So I'd say that the company handled it well, given the circumstances that we had, and knowing that things were changing on a weekly basis. So we go in one direction, and then suddenly a new program is out and we're going in a different direction. And so I think not easy for anyone involved, but I think handled professionally and to the best of the abilities, given the situation there.
Okay. So kind of going back to focusing on you more, I saw here that you are an owner, that at one point you were an owner of Designers Center. What was that about? And what was the company about?
Yeah, so it was a family business. It was a retail store by the San Francisco airport. And my dad had owned it for 25 years, got out of the business. And I had jumped back in, say, hey, I'd like to put my name in the hat here and try and run this thing. And it was a really good learning experience for me. I learned a lot about business in general, all aspects, from selling to marketing to inventory management and accounting. But at one point, sports kept drawing me back, and I missed it more and more when I was out there. And it's definitely a lesson that I share with lots of young folks getting into the industry, is they might have frustrating times in the sports industry, or feel like you could be making more money or this or that. But understanding that there's something just really magical about being in sports, and being able to work with the fans and the people that we get to work with internally in the offices too. So that drew me back out of back into the sports industry, I should say.
And you were with Fresno before that, right?
I was, yeah. That was my first real job coming out of school, with the Fresno Falcons in the ECHL. And funny enough, at that point, I was interviewing with both them and with the Bakersfield Condors too. So funny that it kind of comes full circle that I'm actually now working with them again. So
that's great. So is that kind of like where you decided ticketing was where you belonged, or in selling?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think I probably, like a lot of folks that are coming into it, saying, like, I don't anticipate that I'm going to be in sales for the rest of my career.
Right.
And I quickly learned that I wasn't the best salesperson out there. I thought I was okay and did all right on the leaderboard, but I was never top of the board. I was never bottom of the board, always middle of the pack. But I really found my calling, not so much on the sales side, but on the more on the management and strategy side, as that's where I saw my path going with regards to sales. And I think that's one thing for a lot of folks, that everyone feels that if they're a good seller, that they have to move into management. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think there's lots of paths that people can carve out in the sports industry in sales, and continue to make more and more money. And tickets aren't going out of style, so there's always going to be
Right.
a need for people to continue selling tickets, and so there's lots of paths people can take, whether that is on the sales side or they want to move into more management and strategy.
So you talk about, tickets aren't, really going out of style. What are some, trends that you've noticed selling tickets this year? Different trends and kind of things that have changed because of COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot, and
Mhm.
it's a great question, complicated question. I think probably one of the things that we've seen so far, and I've heard across the league, is a bit of trepidation from some fans, and whether that's them not wanting restrictions in place or them not coming unless there's restrictions in place, and so we kind of get it from both ends there, and it's one piece that we just can't control. So typically, when you get objections about food prices or the in-game entertainment or ticket prices, those type of things, they're all controllable by the team to some extent.
Yeah.
This is out of our hands and is one piece that we just can't control. And so trying to navigate through that has been an interesting piece with regards to coaching our staff, how we market our tickets, and all those pieces that have changed a bit. Trying to again be empathetic to the situation or to people's concerns with coming out to games, but also showing them that we have great health and safety protocols in place. We're following Alberta Health Services guidelines to make sure that it is a safe environment for fans coming back.
Mm. And besides COVID related, are there any other trends?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big trends that we've been seeing over multiple years, and I mean, it's across the industry, is secondary market, where fans are reselling their tickets, has created natural competition for us on our primary tickets that we're selling. We know that, and I think that, again, there's strategies that teams are utilizing to combat that, whether that's trying to be more price competitive or offering more value with their seats or putting them on sale at different points. And so again, we're navigating through that as well. We've been a fairly high season seat base market, so it hasn't been as much of a challenge for us on that end. But we're definitely seeing that coming out of the pandemic, where we're definitely in a rebuilding phase on that end.
Right. What are the restrictions at Rogers Palace?
So right now, it's either fully vaccinated
Hmm.
or proof of negative test within 72 hours. So that's only for folks that can get the vaccine. So kids under 12 don't have to abide by those restrictions.
Okay.
So and then it's masking in place unless you're eating or drinking.
Gotcha. And is it
Yeah,
is it full capacity?
it is. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So that's the same. It's the same here then. That's cool. It's good to get a little bit trying to get back to normal at least.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We're starting to feel that a little bit more and more as people feel more comfortable with restrictions or understanding the safety that's in place. That we're definitely seeing more traction of folks saying, "All right, I'm ready to come back now." So it's on the
Right.
upswing for sure.
So did you okay. You originally got into marketing, is that correct? At Florida institution, right?
I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What was that like, and how did that kind of lead you into sports?
Well, I was in sports before that, so I Florida was my MBA.
Mhm.
So I actually did my undergrad in economics at Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario.
Mm.
But I think for me, one of the important pieces was I knew I wanted to get into sports when I was in high school. But for me, I didn't think I wanted to go down the sports management route with school
Right.
for the sole fact that if sports didn't work out or it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, that I had a different background or more
Mm.
general background to fall back on. So I got the economics degree, but spent a lot of time doing an internship. I worked for the Kingston Frontenacs of the Ontario Hockey League at the time.
Mm.
And it was a really small operation there, and they let me get pretty hands-on with a lot of different aspects. And so I was able to jump into some things that most interns wouldn't have been able to,
Right.
especially at that time. So really good intro into sports, but definitely it wasn't a school-related piece that got me involved in it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Was there a lot of like other volunteering opportunities at your school or within sports or just in the area?
I would say it was fairly limited.
Okay.
Even with the Frontenacs, when I tried to first get involved, they said, no, we don't really need any extra help. And I just, again, said, hey, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'll come in and sweep the floors or do whatever. And that's
Right.
what I was doing at first. I was hanging sponsor signs before the game, handing out um, prizes to the lucky row, whatever they wanted me to do, and just started taking on more and more responsibility over my time there.
Nice. So, here as a kind of like, I see here that you were a head coach at one point of like a
Mhm,
little what was it, church athletic league. So
mhm.
tell me a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, it was great.
Mhm.
One of my coworkers in Kingston, his son's team was looking for a coach, and so I was able to get involved as an assistant coach, and then took on head coach, and it was fun. It was a house league team, so it was one practice a week, one game a week. Got involved with some rep league stuff later. But it was just a great experience to be giving back to the community a little bit, and it was probably more fun for me than for the kids doing that. I really enjoyed my time coaching, and look forward to doing that for my own kids in the near future.
So do you even take, do you kind of take some of your coaching skills into your daily job in a way?
Probably say it's the reverse.
Oh,
I think take. I'd say I look at myself here in my role as more of a coach than anything else. Is that everything is trying to push our sales reps or our managers to be the best that they can be every day, and really pushing them beyond, like, into their uncomfortable areas
right.
for growth. And I think a lot of that is trying to understand the people that you work with, what their motivations are, and what's going to push them, what's going to demoralize them. And it's managing people is one of the hardest things out there, because everyone's got their own things that makes them tick, and you try and be as um, I guess fair across the board, but also empathetic to the individual needs of each of your staff members. And so I really look at it as like a coach, and trying to get the best out of your people, whether it doesn't matter what position they're playing, you're always trying to coach them to be better. So it's been yeah, I'd say it really goes the reverse
Okay.
on that respect. Yeah.
So if I were to get into ticketing, where's kind of the best way to start? How to, yeah, where's the best way to start?
I think if you're able to get an internship or even a volunteer opportunity
Mm,
in ticket sales specifically, I think is the best way. So you can really learn about what it takes to be an exceptional seller.
right.
I think the other thing too is you want to look for an operation that's got a great training program in place, so that it's not going to be, hey, you come in and here's a phone book and off you go.
Mhm.
They're going to take the time to coach you and train you on sales strategy, on product knowledge, so that you're up to speed before you jump into the deep end. I think that some people get turned off because they don't get that experience, or don't dive deep enough into the training to truly give it the time that it needs to be an exceptional seller. So I'd say that's, when you're first getting started, those are the most important pieces. Is really, you got to jump into the deep end with it, and make sure you're in a really good spot, that you're going to get that coaching and training that you're going to need to make sure that you excel.
So from what I understand from the Blues, talking with Drew Lott, he's one of the tickets, kind of a newer ticker seller there. Apparently, they're given this book that's about like this thick of just everything about the arena, the Blues,
Mhm.
and just what they sell. Do you guys do something similar like that for people coming in to tickets?
Yeah, I'd say every team's got probably a different
Mm,
approach to it. Um, Ours is heavily focused on the actual sales training itself.
mm,
We teach a lot of the product knowledge as we go, but we really want people to get the fundamentals down pat, because we think that's the harder thing to train on. Is we can teach you where the bathrooms are, or where the closest exit is from those seats. That's easy stuff to train on, but the harder stuff is for our young reps coming in that are in their first sales position, that they really need to learn how to handle objections and open a conversation well, um, how to deal with rejection. All that type of stuff is really important, and we spend a lot of time training and coaching on that.
okay. So when you hire someone new, what are some of the non-ticket related qualifications that you look for?
Yeah. We actually don't look for a lot of ticket qualifications here to
Okay.
begin with. It's a little different than in the States because there's so many folks in the industry in the States, and a lot of people are moving around. Here in Western Canada, we don't have a lot of sports marketing schools. We don't have any sports marketing schools locally.
Huh.
So a lot of our hires are coming from Ontario and the Toronto area specifically. So what we really focus on when we're hiring isn't so much how good of a seller people are. We're looking for really good teammates because we believe that if they're good teammates, we can teach them how to sell. But they've got to have three key qualities. And I'm not going to claim that I was the one that created these, but look for people that are humble, that have a lot of humility, that can come in and understand that they don't have all the answers, that they're here to learn and grow and admit their mistakes and take the training as well received as they can. We look for people that are hungry, so folks that want to be at the top of the leaderboard, folks that are willing to go above and beyond for the team itself or for the job itself. And then we look for people that are people smart. So how do you deal with a losing streak? How do you deal with someone that's having a tough day sitting next to you? And I think all those are really important for us to have good sellers. That they have to be good teammates first and foremost, so that we've got to have a really good support network from a peer-to-peer perspective. And that allows us to hold each other accountable a little bit better because we don't have those egos that are in the way. We've really got, and I honestly say that we've got such a great crew right now of really aggressive, hungry folks that really want to work together and look out for each other in the process.
How big is your department? Hold on, let me try to phrase this the right way. How big is your department on the lower level of ticket sales?
So like the entry level, like the account executive. Yeah. So we have our team's broken into 3 areas. So we have our premium sales team, which doesn't have any entry level. We only have directors in that position. But the 2 big ones are our ticket package team and our group sales team. So our ticket package team has 3 dedicated sellers to the Oilers brand and 1 to our Edmonton Oil Kings property.
Okay.
And then our group sales team has 6 dedicated sellers that split targets between Oilers and Oil Kings.
Okay. So when someone within that entry level job wants to move up, what are you looking for to move up into more higher levels of that?
Yeah, so I think a lot of what I was talking about, humble, hungry, and smart, that's a continual theme, not just what we hire on, but what we expect out of our people on a daily basis. So we look for a lot of that. We also look for people that are successful in their roles. They don't need to be, again, the top seller, but they do need to have had success so that shows they understand the business and how it operates. Because moving into the next levels in our management positions or even to another area, if you're moving from packages to group sales, you really have to have a good understanding of sales in general so that you can help coach and train others as you move up in the department. So I think it really depends for our reps where they want to go. Again, sort of as we were discussing earlier, do they want to head to a management track where they're managing people and strategy, or are they looking to just become bigger sellers and move into premium sales or corporate sales? So we're here to help grow and coach our staff moving into those areas. But I wouldn't say it's one thing. It's a mixture of sales success and leadership success as well.
I think that's interesting because the biggest surprise, I've just started getting into the sports industry. And I think the biggest surprise to me is how helpful everyone is into moving up in the industry. No one's really kind of no one's trying to bring you down. Everyone wants to bring each other up. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, there's really a pay it forward mentality in sports that I haven't seen in other industries. And there's just something about it because I think the folks like myself that have been through it for years and years are always willing to help folks like yourself that are just getting into it and just learning about it so you get onto the right path. Sports isn't for everyone. There's lots of long days and nights and hard days that we're going through it. But the rewards for when you've sold a big group or your team has sold out the building, or you guys make the playoffs, all those things are well worth the sacrifices that we have. And so I think the folks that have been through it are more than willing to really push the young folks to keep coming into the industry and succeeding as well.
That's Great to hear and very welcoming. So, do you have time for one more question?
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What is your biggest tip to kind of succeed in the sports industry?
I'd say there's two to it.
Okay.
One is to read, become an avid reader. It's really important as, again, I think if you're only exposed to sports and sports ticket sales, that's the only place that your mind's going to go. If you're exposed to other aspects of business, you're going to have a much broader mindset for when you're approaching how you sell, or eventually when you become a manager, and how you approach a strategic challenge that you've got. The other one is to just get involved. Do as much as you can to get involved now, and soak it all in. I continually see from our end, and from across the industry, is the most successful people are the ones that have dug in when they're in college or university, and really pushing themselves to, again, make sacrifices at that point to say, hey, it's Saturday night, but I've got an internship and I'm at this game all night. And like, that's what it is, because they're excited to do it. And those are the ones that really understand what it's going to take to be successful in when you actually get into your first job, and really push yourself forward when times get tough.
Yeah, I actually just pulled, I think it was around, we'll call it 7.5 or 8 hours at the Mutual Awards here in St. Louis. That was really fun. Actually,
Yeah.
Gretzky was there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually I don't want to. I think you do have to go pretty soon, so I don't want to keep you waiting. Thank you, Jared, for coming. I really appreciate it, and I do plan on staying in touch with you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Really enjoyed it, and great questions, great preparation. Thanks a lot for the time.
Yep. You have a good day.